Some logistics. So as we've been turfed out of our regular home, I need to find a new place. So we'll see. There won't be one in December anyway because it either falls on Christmas Day. It does, I think. John, no, I don't fancy it Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Well, so we'll do one in January. Hopefully I'll have a new venue by then. We may try and broaden the horizon a little bit, so we might change it to, mainly so I can keep most of the branding, we might just call it Scale Manchester. Have like all sorts of like reactive programming and might expand the kind of talk base and try and encourage more people. Although there's been lots of people here tonight, thank you very much for coming. Yeah, I think that's all of the logistics and stuff. I'm not sure about that, so I'll show that. Right, okay. Just got some things not that safe. That's fine. If that pops up, then you can see it. Right. Okay, so we'll do interactive. Show of hands. Who's heard of gRPC? Oh, loads of people. There you go. Oh, okay. So, it is that, which is a transport mechanism for creating a request and response in a structured format. So, also using protobuf, as Matt mentioned, but lots of experience defining messages and so building on what you would typically do in a distributed system, and you define your messages in protobuf. With gRPC, you also use protobuf to define the service endpoints. So not only the request and response messages, but also your service endpoints. So it has an IDL file, it's an IDL language, you define it in protobuf, in proto files, and it has the ability to define requests and responses, and it's sent over HTTP2 connection, which is pretty important, because that's how it differs from previous attempts to try and solve this problem, as we'll go into in a minute. So, pros, schema first designs. So, you define your messages in a common format, you define your services that are going to consume those, and you send a message to the service. All lovely, you define that in the IDL language, in protobuf, and there's some bits of magic that people have wrote, which will produce you clients and services in a wide range of languages. Even ones that we might not necessarily want to develop in, but I'll show them anyway. It's built on top of HTTP2, which means you can multiplex lots of requests up and down the same connection. So if you have a traditional HTTP1 request, HTTP1 connection, you send a request, you get a response, it's done. HTTP2 means you can have the connection open over a longer period of time, send multiple requests over the same channel. So reducing your overhead of connection and chatter to keep that connection open. It's language agnostic, which provides great interoperability, whatever that says. So there's bindings for all sorts, from C to C++, Java, some Scala ones, some .NET, some C# stuff. Probably missed a few out. Go, yeah, Rust. There's any language that's popular. Some that are not. They've got that stuff. And streaming is a first-class citizen as well, which is quite important. So built on HTTP2 means you can have lots of data sent over the same connection. Okay, the cons. There's actually probably a significant. We had this chat earlier today at work. It's a bit like the circle of life. Kind of people get really annoyed with structured code and structured things. So they go, I know, we're going to go schemaless. Don't need any structure. I know, I'm the developer. I know what I'm writing, and nobody else needs to know. Like, it just works. I can do that. Bam! Look at that. All of these things, so JSON APIs spread all over. Then somebody goes, fuck, I've now got 80 services. None of them are defined, and they're all changing constantly because everyone's in a DevOps mode, and like really great, really loads of changes. I test my thing because that's what I own. Breaks all of the clients, and you're just in a bit of a connection dependency hell. So somebody comes in and goes, what we need is some structure. So then maybe things happen like this. So you introduce protobuf, you introduce message bus, and some other kind of descriptive language. Now, you don't need to necessarily do protobuffer and IDL to do this. You could have like SOAP. If anybody's used SOAP before, that's a lovely solution. But let's go back. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. The tooling is still improving, although probably from a year ago, it's like light years ahead. It just seems to work. So the demo I've got with some live coding took me about 25 minutes to do, and probably 22 and a half minutes of that was working out how to write C#. So the other bit was pretty quick. There's some really good stuff going on. The cons, it generates code, and it doesn't matter how good the interpreter is, it never generates code as good as you could write it by hand. So get out of the mindset that the generated code needs to be pretty and how you would write it. It's just a utility, it's a function. It gives other advantages, and kind of beauty and readability is not yet one of them. This is an interesting one. So synchronous communication. Now, that's either a pro or a con, depending on the kind of problem you're trying to solve. If you have the ability to completely decouple your services and want to pass some data to another service and have that computation happen, and at some point get a response, and you're not dependent on time factor, don't use gRPC. Use Kafka or message bus. You can use protobuf to define your message and your communication, but you can pop it on the queue, and something asynchronously can pick that up and process it. So let's gRPC all of the things. So only do it if there's a well-defined connection. I think if you are in startup mode and still trying to work out what your product is and does, maybe going for such a structured definition at the beginning is not the right approach. JSON exists and REST APIs exist because of their speed of development, and doing some of this first time around is probably a bit too much of an overhead. But at some point, when your number of services gets big, you're going to have to consider how you manage that as a big team. If you can't fit the services in your head, you need some gRPC, or you need some protocol. You need some protocol. An interesting way, which I was going to do the talk on, but then realised I had way more than 15 minutes, was using gRPC gives you a really nice way to structure data between the front end and the back end, so you can write mobile apps or web applications using gRPC, and that gives you the ability to get models and the structure. So all of the benefits I've heard of like Scala.js are that it gives you the same models and the same application as you have in the server, so you don't need to worry about that, and you can write it all in Scala. Actually, the problem you're trying to solve there is that you want common structured data connection between the front end and the back end. Whether you want to then lose all of the fantastic tooling that you have with other JavaScript libraries and frameworks is questionable. Okay. Then the third one, which I actually think is probably one of the most important reasons that I can see, or one of the times I'm suggesting it to use, is that you have a specific bit of functionality, some DLL that you want to, that does its job fantastically. It's a very specialised bit of code. The company's like, this is the IP of the system of our core platform. But we've sort of moved on from this world, and we want to connect it with our modern application. Now, that connection, if that can be asynchronous, as I say, let's use a message bus and decouple it completely. If there's a time and a latency issue, well, okay, we want to make a direct connection, and that's, to me, where gRPC really comes into its own. Old news, right? Haven't we? Some of the more grayer-haired people in the audience may have come across Corbat. I know me and Mike worked on a project once that did this. He's about to cry himself to sleep tonight, remembering those days. It's old news, right? So Corbat is a definition language. So it was a Java framework, or not a Java framework. Again, you had IDL files that allowed you to define a language, you generate source in multiple languages, that allows you to do this kind of message passing and remote procedure calls. They had this crazy feature, which I think is why it burned in, or why it deserves to burn in some horrible place, in that you could pass object references. So you could, as well as pass the model and the data, you could pass some reference to the other thing. So the idea was kind of decoupling the services, right? That's what you're doing with it. But what we're going to do is pass the object reference, which is a terrible idea. I have no idea how that became so popular, but that was there, hence the 6 exclamation marks. It's also built on an old technology, so again, you've got that chatter because it has to look on top of TCP, so there's that connection overhead, and you have this IOP or GIOP, depending on the version of Corba, but old school. So gRPC tries to do things a little bit differently. But actually, do we need to do that? Is this not just SOAP? I tried to get this into bullet points, it didn't go very well. So, for those of you who haven't used SOAP, it's really great fun. So, the idea is you define your models and your data structure, and you have a WSDL, which is the definition of the data structure, and then from the WSDL you can generate all sorts of language, all sorts of clients in the same fashion as you can from there. The bad point is that it generates horrendous XML and sort of namespace nonsense, and it all gets really complicated really quickly. And then you tend to find that people then stop generating the libraries from the WSDL, which is its only good thing about it, and then so they just end up updating the WSDL with some XML, and then you find that the API actually is not representative of the WSDL. So then you integrate with some provider, so you go to the thing and do WSDL at the end, or question mark, wherever it is, and then you generate the client libraries, and they go, oh no, that's not how it is anymore. It's still mad. So that probably wasn't the language or the idea's fault, but we as developers have completely ruined that. So can't use that anymore. And again, got on top of TCP, not HTTP2. So I thought this one would probably get quite dull, so I'm trying to get interesting titles. So again, as Matt referred to, maybe using a message bus is a good idea. And definitely, if you're not interested in latency and don't need an instant response, decoupling completely. Still use protobuf if you need a structured message or way to define your messages. You don't need to define the services. So people got a little bit confused when I explained this earlier to some people. So whilst gRPC is built in a reactive kind of non-blocking way, it still provides a synchronous connection between the two, the client and the server. So use Kafka. If latency is not an issue, use Kafka. I think it's summary of that slide. I mean, other message buses exist, but I don't know what you use. So, before I start showing you the code, imagine a situation. I think unicorns do that quite nicely. So you've got a highly performant function, this piece of code that is like some old guy in the corner has written this, it does everything that you want, it is baby. So you're not moving that into any modern stack, but it works, right? So you want to encapsulate that and include it in the rest of the service and in the rest of the platform in a nice way. So you want to join the rest of your microservices in a nice way. So gRPC is to the rescue. Demo time. My ASCII art there, look at that. Oh, yeah. Who needs a diagram? It's a pretty diagram. Who needs that? ASCII art. Okay, so let's see how this goes. So I thought you can't have a 15-minute talk without it running over and showing you some code. So we should work out season. Okay. So close some things. Right, so one of them. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. So, really simple. Protocol definition. Is that readable?
Just like ish.
Ish.
I mean, it's C#,
those who haven't seen proto files before, there's a syntax and a format for it. We use proto 3 because it's the latest one and it's cool. You'll notice there's some really ugly bits. So they sell protobuf as this beautiful way to generate code in any language. That was like the user story, and then someone implemented it and went, no, wait, that is not happening. So they had to add in some extra kind of hackiness, which all looks a bit smelly. So, for example, you have a bit of a tell is that you have keywords for Java and there's some C++ ones and things that they couldn't quite work out how to do in a common way. They've just hacked in some bit of property setting, which is all right. I mean, it's a bit of a smell, but maybe with enough time and enough engineering effort, the Google guys will sort that out eventually. But you get an namespace as you would expect, or a package, depending on your language and preferred use of the word, and you define a service. So we have a say hello function, which takes in a hello request model, which is defined further down, and returns hello reply. Dead simple. There's some streaming one, which is a stream implementation of request, then returns a stream of replies. So it keeps that channel open, sends lots of requests, produces lots of replies. As you would expect with HTTP to implementation. Then you have the messages as you would expect. So the type, the name of the value, and its order within the request. Now, any additional fields to this, one thing that I didn't really mention on the slide is the beauty of protobuf and why it beats something like SOAP is its way to do schema evolution. So you can add an additional field to your hello request, and I only need to generate my server input. So if I regenerate the server, all of the clients, whether they're version 1 or version 2, can send messages and it will all work as if it wasn't there. So that allows me to evolve the message, and each language will implement this in a different way, but in Scala it will create these optional fields. So they are optional fields, so you will get nonce in this case from version 1 of the client. Version 2 of the client, you'll get the value. Okay, so that's the proto file. The Akka team have created so for a lot of the other languages, there's official supported generators for languages. So the Google team have created a Java generator for classes. Scala is not an official supported one, but it's created by the Akka team by Lightbend, and that works really nicely. So produce you some fairly nice things. So pretty easy. You add in a couple of build plugins, and in the compile phase, it will then read the proto definitions and generate these classes you can use in your code. So it's pretty simple. So we've got a really simple app, brain access system, and from here, so the new root service client, so that's something that's generated from routing proto. So it has, so you can, the root service will have root service import. So you can generate the client and some settings. So the settings contain where my server will be. So we have a port that it runs to. Then just some really terrible command line input tool, but essentially we can make a request and we will return the response. So don't grimace too much. However, if we were to do this in C#, which surprisingly worked quite well on my Mac. I thought I was in some sort of weird situation where I was trying to run like C# and .NET Core on a Mac, and I thought I'd be the only person crazy enough to do it. But it turns out it works pretty well. So again, in the same way, you generate some service classes, and you create your own implementation, which inherits from this. So then you have to override the two functions, which is say well. So I haven't overridden the stream one because I just wanted to say hello. But as you would expect, this function has two parameters, one being the hello request, which is the model that's generated from the proto files, and we just write it out and do it. So let me run, so I can run, horribly wrong and the git reset hard there. Right, so I will run the app, I'll show it working, and then it's done. Yeah. Okay, so the server's running, and I will do SVT on this side. That may show you up there. It's important. It's following up. Okay, so the left-hand side is the JVM process. The right-hand side is a LLVM.NET application running. So we type in my name and the message received from Alex. Oh, that's interesting. I've half done my cheating bit, but anyway. And it's responded with Alex. So we get hello Alex here, and then she's there. So it's an RPC call between two different paradigms across gRPC. Now, the cool thing, right, was the schema evolution. So that's demo. So I'll write some code rather than just run some, rather than it just be repeater styling. So in the grid service. So what I will do is add a new field with 32 or something. And we'll get age. The second one finished. Okay. So I now have the hello request that's there. I will stop the server. And I didn't get into the whole MS builds nonsense, so I just created a script that generated the protobuf in C#. So that has generated, which improved because we'll see that generated code. So Atom said this is now changed, so it must have worked. And now in my greet service, I could, as well as the name, let me also put in the another space, and then we'll add the request, which is the hello request model. So then we can do age capital because it's C#. Weird. That's my editor. I mean, that's also not configured for C#, but yeah, that would be fine. So if I now were to...
It's going to be an adaptive message instead of the log. You like this one?
No, so it's the request that's passed in.
You're sending it back.
I've got an, I'm just printing it out, so I'm not sending it back to the person, I'm just printing it out when we get it here. But yeah, so if I can then, if I run the thing, it will compile this code. So I've now upgraded my definition of my request message. So when I send them, so this is the same process, I haven't built it, so it's definitely the old code running. If I said Jan, we see that this is the old one, and it's 0, right? If I were to kill that, because I've changed the proto file, if I was to do if I was to compile the application, as part of the compiled phase is the generation of the new models from the proto definition. I will then be able to, in here, make the request, and request then take the main age.
I'll be very careful.
And I don't, you're not our boss anymore, so what? So now I can do SVT, right? SVT, right. For a highly interactive development environment. Okay, so we need to do this, and that value is now received by the server. And it worked. Huzzah! Questions? Cheers, guys. Shall see you in January. As everybody else, we're hiding.